We're here at the Defense24 Days, and I'm now joined by the president of the Polish Armament Group, also known as PGZ here in Poland, Arkadiusz Bąk. Arkadiusz, thank you very much for joining us today on TVP World.
Thank you for the invitation. Good morning to you. Good morning to our viewers.
Yes, now very interesting times for the defense industry and spending. Tell me, what are the most important projects that you're currently working on at this time?
Well, Polish Armament Group covers most of the needs of Polish army and modern army in this world of present dangers on the defense sector. But the most important projects we are running now are the projects for GBAT, for ground-based air defense. This is multi-layer air defense. It's since the middle range, which is called Wisła. Then it's the short range, we call it Narew, and the very short range, which is called Pilica. And we are covering all three layers in cooperation with the American industry that is based for the Wisła project, and with the British industry at Narew project. But not only GBATs we are doing. Yesterday we've just started building a second frigate for Polish Navy. It will be called Burza, Thunder, something like the ship that was built before the World War II. And we are building 3 frigates nowadays, so for the maritime projects we are also there. And the third part, which is probably PGZ most known for, are the land projects, land vehicles, ground vehicles for the land forces, like Borsuk, Badger, it's our armored carried vehicle. New one, we have Rosomak, we have many projects for the land forces. But more than that, we produce the armor for the personnel, military personnel, we produce guns, everything that army needs.
Very much a one-stop shop for all your military needs. Well, now Poland is spending a lot of money. Now, how much of that will end up here in the domestic industry, and how much will go abroad?
Well, Deputy Prime Minister Mr. Kosiniak-Kamysz said when he came to the office, he said that his program, his idea is 50-50 at least. At least 50% of the expenditures of the procurements will be placed in the Polish industry. Well, most of that, not all of it, but most of that is placed in the Polish Armament Group, in the PGZ. And we are having since the last, it's a little more than a year, we've got over 50 agreements worth more than 120 billion of złotych, so it's quite a lot. We have never had so many procurements in such a long period of time.
Now, with this influx of money, how do you expect Polish domestic industry, is it going to grow vastly? And I'm talking about export markets. Is there markets out there for some of our smaller neighbors that maybe don't have the bigger domestic production as Poland that we can help as to increase their capabilities?
Nowadays, we are, as the defense industry, we are facing 3 problems. First is the capability. How do we gain the capabilities to produce new equipment, whether it's licenses or our own projects developed in our research and development centers? The second one is capacity. How fast can we ramp up the capacity to produce to provide the multiplication of the production capacity? Because we can't forget that we've had about 20 years of the peace dividend, that the defense industry was decreasing, was dropping down, and nowadays it has to ramp up very rapidly. And the third thing is the future possibilities and the future use of those factories that we are building now. The cooperativeness with the it's a kind of export competition, and we have to understand that the strong industry of the Western world is a little bit ahead of us, so we have to do a lot of work to be ready to export our equipment and to be competitive on the third markets. That will be the next step. First is to build capability and capacity, and then the export possibilities.
Certainly, it seems like we're at somewhat of a juncture in that Poland is spending vast amounts of money to modernize its army and its armed forces. Therefore, it has to make really important decisions on just how to do that. I just returned from Ukraine, for instance, and Ukraine is now producing more than half of what they need for their military domestically. And I want to know, is there something that we can learn from them as the war and modern warfare is certainly evolving?
Yeah, the first thing I think we have to adopt from the Ukrainian war. I mean, the Russian the war that Russia started in Ukraine, is that we have to build an industry which is the same important as the military units fighting on the field, because there is a lot of small items of equipment, the armors that are recovering and maintained on the battlefield. And these capabilities and possibilities in the industry have to be built on our site. That's the first thing. Another one is the adapting to the very rapidly expanding, growing the needs for new equipment. It's really changing. We have to invest in the electronic warfare equipment, because as we know now, every single day on the war starts with the activity of the electronic warfare devices. And of course, we all discuss every day about the drone wars over the Ukraine, but still we have to remember that it is quite a different environment on the battlefield, because there is air superiority from the Russian part. So the only way to answer for the Ukrainians are the drones. Probably, if NATO is involved, the situation in air would be quite different. But still, we have to learn a lot of lessons from the Ukrainian battlefield, and we do it every day, and we adapt it in our industry.
I'd also like to ask you, the way wars are fought are changing. You mentioned this about the drones in Ukraine. We saw the beginning of this war was heavy equipment and artillery. We saw a delay in that heavy equipment to the battlefield, which made caused defensive lines being dug. Does Poland face a tough decision on how it modernizes its forces? Should it invest in heavy equipment and these traditional systems that we've always invested in, such as tanks and artillery, or are drones and more simple systems from the cost perspective? Is that maybe something that we really have to make an important decision on?
Yeah, but it's not that easy as it seems when you watch the media. Right. Because all of us watching the war in media, we think that there is no use in investing in the heavy vehicles, in armors and so on, because you can destroy it by very cheap drones. That's only the half of the truth, because as I said before, it is about the air superiority, about the operations in the air, about the active defense, about the anti-drone systems. We adapt it to our vehicles. We are defending the vehicles against the drones. Even on the Ukraine, you can observe a very rapidly changing environment for fighting drones. There are different drones every month, we could say. So it is changing, but I believe there is a still very important role for the heavy equipment, for the artillery at first, because we cannot, we should remember, I would say, that the most important part of the army fighting there is still artillery, not drones. The most of the casualties are hit by the artillery, by the heavy artillery. That's why we are discussing about 155 millimeter ammunition for the artillery. And at the end, the Napoleon said that your borders are where your soldiers stay. So at the end, we have to remember that someone has to move on, someone has to stay on the borderlines, and it's still the heavy equipment. That's what we produce.
Final question, very briefly. On the ammunition front, is Poland going to make some big strides? Because we see we have a deficiency there here in the European Union as opposed to Russia.
Well, as we would count it on the NATO countries, we are in the somewhere in the middle, somewhere in the average production between the NATO countries. Talking about heavy artillery, 1.155 millimeters. That's the production that we are doing now in our facilities, but we are ramping up rapidly. We hope to use the money spent by the government, by the Ministry of Defense and Ministry of National Assets to increase the capacity of our production. We will be working together with another companies from NATO, let's say, because we are not announcing yet which company it will be, to produce another version of our 155 millimeter ammunition. And of course, we are ramping up this production very rapidly because there is a need of the growing number of howitzers in our army. That's why you need more artillery rounds. We are doing it. We are working on it every day. Mr. Jakub Jaworowski, Minister of National Assets, said today about that we are investing every month in these capabilities and capacity.
Okay, Arkadiusz Bąk, President of the Polish Armament Group, or PGZ, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
And that's all for us from here at the Defense24 Days. Thanks for joining us.